They don't make headlines. They don't rack up stats. But if your quarterback's upright, if your run game's rolling, it's because these guys handle business.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's the director of scouting with the Draft Network in 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, we're going to Miami. We're starting out in South Beach. Francis Mauigoa, the right tackle. Is he OT1 for the 2026 NFL Draft? We have a transfer from Nevada, from the Mountain West, now going to the Big Ten, to Oregon, Isaiah World, and Caleb, I think it's Tiernan. We got to get these pronunciations right, but I think it's Tiernan, guys, for Northwestern. We'll get into his game and everything he brings to the table as well. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Francis Mauigoa, Keith, a 5-star offensive tackle. Mario Cristobal, I think the year before he was able to recruit and bring Mauigoa in, their offensive line was not good for Miami, right? And so he said, listen, we got to go. We got to fix this. We got to fix this problem. We have to make sure we bring in the right guy. He brought in the 6'6", 315-pound offensive tackle last year. Really improved in terms of statistically. Only 1 sack given up all season last year. Only 1 QB hit, 17 hurries, 19 pressures, compared to 5 sacks, 3 QB hits, 15 hurries, 23 pressures from 2023. And one thing about him, Keith, and I jotted down the notes I had for Francis was, like, in terms of pass protection, his hands are skilled. Timely punches, great punch placement. His hand carriage isn't too wide. It isn't too low. It also isn't too high. Like, he's in the place and in the position to be a reactive counter puncher. I always compare the offensive line, defensive line battles to what we see in boxing. Do you know how to counter? Can you punch from your base, from your landmark? Are you overreaching? Things like that. He doesn't do those things, like does the negative things really much at all. He does a really good job of being skilled, being clean in pass protection, and using his hands well. He has a like a ghost or feint punch that will force and manipulate defenders to throw their punches early. Light, bouncy feet. He can carry the defenders around the arc and everything. What I really like is his run blocking. Powerful run blocker. He moves guys off the ball, whether it's vertical or in the zone run game. Also athletic enough to pull out into space and go hunt those second and third level defenders. And then his grip strength from his hands and grip strength is really good to gain control of the rep from the defender. Like, he's one of those type of boxy build tackles and offensive linemen that, truthfully, when you look at his game, to me, Keith, for what I saw, this is a guy that will force you to do what he wants. Like, it's as simple as that. When he gets his hands on you, he can control the entire rep, really stonewall you, stop momentum, or just drive you out of the play all around. And he does have, I wouldn't say he's the same type of finisher as a Fano or Caden Proctor. Like, those guys maybe have a little bit more aggressiveness to him, but I love everything he brings to the table. And honestly, the one concern I have is, again, because we don't have measurements, arm length. I think the arm length look like it might be adequate. Like, it might be the threshold, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like right underneath the threshold either.
Yeah, I'm going to start where you finished at, and that's the overall length. And that's what I like him as a player, but I couldn't help but think, is he a guard, right? Like, is this a projected guard? And I think he can be a really good guard, and I know what his listed measurements are, DP, but I don't, just watching him, I got 6'4", 320. Like, it just, like, just looking at his frame and everything else, is just like, it doesn't look like a tackle with a lot of length. And just if you compare body types from, he's listed as 6'6" and Isaiah World's listed as 6'7", looks like 2 totally different body types, right? As far as players. I agree with you. I think that there is a lot to like about him. The question of length, it leans itself towards, okay, when you're dealing with those skilled pass rushers, right? Like, are they going to come out the box and use their arm length on you automatically, right? And make it hard for you to get hands on them. So, and the truth is, I'm not even a big arm length guy. I guess just the entire profile looked kind of smaller than what I thought it would be, especially when you're talking about playing offensive tackle. But I agree with you on all the highlight stuff, that, like, you know, the movement skills, the hand placements, the just his overall game appears to be mature. And DP, I think he's the younger brother of a Mauigoa, right? That came out this past year's draft.
The linebacker.
Yeah. So obviously good pedigree, right? Just good athletic pedigree overall. So a lot to like about him. I think it's gonna be fun to see how he can battle it out. And we're about to talk about the next guy, Isaiah World, and some of the tackles that we talk about the past couple podcasts. I think he's gonna fall in an interesting place, but it should be fun because I think the projectability part, but also we know that the projectability now starts to kind of be versatility, right? Like, is he just a versatile prospect? And I think if he can kind of place himself in that bucket, it'll kind of bode well for him.
Yeah, I think with him too, like, you know, you talked about the maturity and just the understanding of being self-aware. Like, if he knows, and if the arms aren't as long as like some teams will want, he understands how he protects his chest well. So you don't get easy access to his chest. Like some of the other tackles we talk, and we're going to talk about in a minute, like guys that just give you the chest and be like, that's fine. You know what I mean? He does a good job dropping his anchor. It's hard to collapse him with the speed to power conversion because of how strong he is and his ability to keep his feet settled. Like, this isn't the guy that I walked away from and like, man, like his feet are clunky or he's off base, he's on the ground a lot. Like, I didn't write none of those things down as negative and everything. So I think with him and honestly, getting a good offensive line coach, teach that snatch trap. Like they shoot that long arm. Once it makes contact, snatch him down. You know what I mean? We see that in the NFL all the time from the best of the best. Even the guys that got long arms, it was like, man, I don't have to battle with you with arm length. I can just put you on your face. And that's the end of the rep right there. So figuring out those nuance counters as he continues to mature is going to be big. And this year, it's going to be a test for him because last year, and I'll bring this up real quick too, Keith. Well, last year, you had Cam Ward, who was a mobile and creative pocket player in the pocket, where whether it was being able to run for himself, extend plays, spin out, spin around, create, make defenders miss. You got Carson Beck now, who is of the straight line. He can get you 10, maybe 12, but in the pocket, in terms of overall creativity and athleticism, he's probably a tier or two below what Cam Ward was able to do. And from a body type, Cam Ward is strong. You know what I mean? Be able to shrug off some guys, stiff arm some guys, and keep it moving. You're not getting that out of Carson Beck. He's going to play more like Jared Goff. He wants to be in clean pockets. I think with Mauigoa, Keith, going to the NFL is going to be a little different. I don't know if you saw it, maybe I'm tripping. Their splits are super close in Miami. Like, they're really close. And I was like, is this normal? Because I don't think I've seen other offensive lines do that. So I think that even like with that, granted, it works in his favor for the most part, but I can see why somebody would think he's not as athletic. They put him at a disadvantaged spots because when you get wide non-rushers, they're even further out than normal because you're so condensed to the guard. And that's just the way that they have their pocket set up. But that was something I really noticed with Miami's offensive line, that their splits are really tight, and they could put him in some precarious situations against wide nine explosive rushers. But overall, his athleticism is good enough to get out there, whether it's diagonal set, vertical set. He has multiple pass sets in his game. So there's going to be a different year for him with a Carson Beck, who's not an athletic quarterback that can create with his legs and make plays happen.
Yep, I agree with DP. Let's keep this thing going and flowing. And up next, we have Nevada transfer that is now at the University of Oregon, Mr. Isaiah World. Offensive tackle one for many. Let's see if he's offensive tackle one for us. We're going to talk about him coming up next.
Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, and you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one single place. So in addition to managing your money, you can also build the wealth you've longed for. I noticed personally when I started tracking my spending with Monarch, we spent way too much on eating out. So we bought more groceries, we cooked more, we have leftovers, and we save more money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougit Ready. Rougit Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify the arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougit's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is just right. So all you need to do is head to Rougit.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL for 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL and use the promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougit website for full safety information. From Nevada to Oregon, Keith, from the Mountain West to the Big Ten, Isaiah World, the left tackle, listed at 6'8", 310 pounds. PFF have him charted for only 1 sack all season last year, 2 QB hits, 12 hurries, 15 pressures. And if you go back statistically, since he's been a starter for Nevada since 2022. And he came in and he actually started in 2022. He started at right tackle. So he played majority of the season at right tackle. And that was probably his worst year. He had 11 sacks given up, 38 pressures, 22 hurries, 5 QB hits.
Yeah, that don't sound good, DP.
That doesn't sound great, right? That doesn't sound great at all. So then he flipped to the left side, right? In 2023, only 2 sacks allowed, 11 hits, 21 hurries, 34 pressures. Roughly the same pressure hurry rate. 2024, that's when he really took that step and became one of the better left tackles in college football. And, what I wrote down for him, like, Keith, he reminds me a little bit of Olu in terms of athletic. I think he might be taller than Olu, a little bit leggier than Olu is. Olu is like 6'6". He's listed like 6'8". So he's a tall dude. And similar body type too. Because remember, Olu had the muscle definition, lean. He wasn't like Joe Alt was 6'8", like 315 or whatever it was. He had more body mass. You know what I mean? Olu was very, very lean. Same thing with Isaiah World. And he anchors quickly against power rushers. He's light-footed, moves well laterally for the most part. Like, he can mirror guys, stay in front, and stay connected to pass rushers. I like the natural power and then the length that he has. And for me, this is a guy that you think about the zone game, the double teams, gallop technique. You see him collapse defensive tackles and create rush lanes for the running back when they're running off of his hip. So he's able to do those type of things. He climbs well to the second level and picks off those linebackers very well. And he's not over aggressive doing that. I've seen so many offensive linemen climb up there to that second level and miss because they're so aggressive. They want to get hands on. It's like, no, be controlled throughout the entire rep. And he does that. Now, he gives up his chest. His hands are wide. Like, he has really wide hands. He allows power into his chest. His base, and he's got some things they're coachable. His base is uncoordinated. His footwork rarely are settled. They get very clunky in pass sets with him. And then his overzealousness and over-aggressiveness create sloppy technical tendencies, like to where you want him to be more refined and more clean. I see the upside. And I think I've been talking about him since like 2023. Like he's been on my radar for a minute. You know what I mean? But like now, you're going from a big fish in a small pond to the Big Ten, right? Like you're about to see some of the best players in all of college football. He has to clean these things up. You go up against Michigan, Derek Moore is going to collapse you if you don't have your feet underneath you, if you keep giving up your chest, things of that nature. Again, he's strong. He's got length. He's got the movement skills. Technically, he needs to be refined going forward.
Yeah. So you talked about refined. I think in a run game, that's where I've seen a need for improvement also, right? Like I thought that he was a controlled guy, but also I thought that there were times where he leaned. And then also because he was so tall, it was hard for him to get the proper leverage, right? Like I felt like defenders were up under him, which was preventing him to get leverage to be able to put himself in position to be able to really drive guys off of the line of scrimmage, right? It was more, I don't even know what to call it, right? Like he was making contact, almost like wrapping up and then trying to just like fall, like he'd do better just falling on top of him or something because they were just under his chest plate, right? And so I noticed that quite a few with him. So I'm like, okay, this might not be a guy. And that was the difference between him and a difference between him and Olu. Olu could potentially be a drive blocker, right? Like he could get under you and make quick contact and then try to get you up off the line of scrimmage. Isaiah World, I view as that he's gonna make contact, but he's probably more of your prototypical left tackle where you're asking him just to seal off things on the backside, unless you're doing some GT pull counter stuff and he's athletic to get around the front side, pulling for a power play or something like that. But overall, I like Isaiah. And I'll say this, that I think this season he probably has more at stake than probably any other prospect, right? Like he's right up there with the top of the top because you could have stayed in the Mountain West, something, right? You could have stayed there and probably tried to dominate one more year, right? But you're taking that next step up. And I hope that for his benefit, him transferring to a program like Oregon, meaning that they have a Mateo Uiagalelei there and other guys that they drafted, that he's already getting that baptism by fire in practice, right? It's like, you know 100%. What? These guys are different. And it's not just him going out there week one and saying, I've never seen this before. Because like you said, you go against the Michigans. I'm not sure if they play Ohio State, but you're probably going to have to play Ohio State in one of the playoff games, right? Or the Big Ten championship, something like that. Penn State, we know is going to come with another edge rusher. That's just what they do. He's going to have to see like Danny Dennis Sutton. So it's going to be guys that he's going to have to prepare for and hope that he's in good position to knock out / execute.
Yeah, so I'm lucky for him. Oregon doesn't play Ohio State or Michigan. They do play Penn State, and they go on the road at night. So you expect the whiteout crowd to be loud.
Be huge. Yeah.
That's going to be the big time game. I have to deal with Michael Kamara against Indiana. Play Wisconsin, who Wisconsin typically has some unknown, underrated, technically refined pass rusher that we've never heard of, but the guy gets 10 sacks in the season. Going against Iowa. Iowa has two edge rushers, Llewellyn, who we talked about, and I think the other one's name is Hackett. Both of these guys can collapse the pocket, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, he's gonna have. He got USC and Washington along with Minnesota on the schedule. So he has some decent battles that he'll have to go through. Oklahoma State is the first true like Power 4 opponent they have on the season. That's their second game of the season, and it's at home. So he's gonna have his fair share of battles. But like you said, battling with Mateo Uiagalelei, and I don't know who else they got at edge, but I'm pretty sure they got 2 or 3 more. You know what I mean? No, Dan Lanning ain't letting that slide. Losing all the guys he lost to the league. He's like, no, we got more. We're good. Like he's trying to turn Oregon into Georgia West over there. You know what I mean? So that's what he's trying to do. And yeah, so going up against guys like that in spring practice and fall practice, like that's going to prepare you for the league, for the regular season. And long as he cleans up the technical stuff, right? The stuff that you can fix. Something like you said, the natural leverage isn't always going to work for you because you are listed at 6'8". You are a leggy, tall, long, human being. So sometimes you're going to have guys get underneath your pads. But for the most part, the stuff you can fix, stuff that can be fixed. Hand carriage, footwork, And then, like I said, just the over aggressiveness, because he gets over his skis trying to two-hand punch. And I keep going back to that. Corners, tackles, I don't want to see it. Right? You get beat, you lock your hip, and you're cooked. I don't want to see no two-hand punching at the line of scrimmage, man. Use your hands as levers. 1-2, keep them, protect the inside leverage. Overall, talented kid. And he, like I said, the spotlight for him. This is a type of move going from in such a jumping competition, going from Mountain West to the Big Ten in one year. And I think it's your senior year too. So it's not like you get a mulligan and a do-over. This your final hurrah. And this is an opportunity for Isaiah World for those who view him as a first rounder, Keith, I view him right now as a day 2 prospect, somewhere around that 3rd round. If he cleans up those with his athleticism, his anchor, his natural strength, his length, if Isaiah World could clean up the technical aspects of it, oh yeah, I could absolutely see a team saying, you know what, we're good. Let's go ahead and select him in round 1. Right? I absolutely could see that happening. But you got to fix the technical stuff. Because you know what I mean? Like, you can't go into the league being sloppy like that and expect it to protect some of the best passers in the league. A team wants you to be that franchise left tackle. You got to be prepared to do so.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one guy I thought of, DP, for like comparison that you like want him to kind of follow is 2 guys. That's probably more of his trajectory, and 2 really good players. And you hope that he reaches this point, right? One, Laramie Tunsil, right? I thought of Laramie Tunsil as one, and then the other one, Teron Armstead. I thought of those 2 guys with good athleticism.
That's some high ceilings there, buddy.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what we want him to kind of, like if you talk about protecting him and quote unquote offensive tackle 1, like you want him to kind of fall in that category. And both of those guys were athletic, did have length, those type of things. So you hope that he's on that path and that trajectory to be able to get to those type of kind of career arcs, but also kind of play style too. Like, I think if I was him, that would be guys I would look towards, be like, hey,
study those guys.
Yeah, study those type of players. So, but DP, let's keep this thing going, man. We're going to Northwestern. They have another offensive lineman coming out of there, Caleb Tiernan, right? The left tackle for the Northwestern Wildcats. Let's get into Caleb coming up next.
This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back. Fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreaction we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, me and the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too. Whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league, to celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. And it all begins August 4th. So stay tuned and get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. That's yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. Tiernan?
This might be the worst name group. Yep.
Yo, God. All right, 6'7", 330. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shot for being our everydayers. Caleb Tiernan. And we're going to get these right, Keith, eventually. Caleb Tiernan, offensive tackle, left tackle for the Northwestern Wildcats, listed at 6'7", 329 pounds. This is a big dude. You know what I mean? He's a big dude. Looks like he's going into his 5th year. I think he's a red shirt senior this year.
Yeah, red shirt senior.
Somewhere in there. Because he's been in school. He enrolled in 2021. Looked like he played 5 total snaps. And then they went ahead and redshirted him after that. He's come off of a year last year, Keith, 3 sacks, 3 QB hits, 7 pressures, 13 pressures, 7 hurries. So that was a good season for him. One of the highest graded per PFF last year. And this is a guy that also has possessional flexibility because similar to Isaiah World, his first year as a starter, he started at right tackle before they moved him to left in 2023. And he played well at both sides. So that what we call that, Keith, creating the floor. Like Caleb Tiernan he gives you that ability to where if teams draft him and say, you know what, maybe you don't fit our prototype at left tackle, but you already have the experience and you fit it at right tackle. I like the size and play strength in the run game. He collapses guys and forces guys down the line. To me, he's in terms of scheme fit, I think he's a zone blocker more than a true power man downhill blocker to move guys. He runs his feet very well to turn and seal defenders in the run game. And he's really watching them, Keith, like he's not somebody similar to Isaiah World and even Francis Mauigoa. You know, like these three guys we're talking about today, these aren't guys you're trying to speed the power through. Like these aren't guys you're trying to consistently run through their chest. You want to get around Tiernan because he's really strong when he, like, especially when he gets to the top of his rush, top of his set, at the apex of his set, and he's settled in. It's hard to power straight through him. It's hard to work cross face a lot too because he keeps that inside hand ready to be able to punch and react. Where I think he struggles is over aggressiveness, leads to bending at the waist, leaning over, poor weight distribution at times, and inconsistent weight distribution. And then for me, it was the climbing to the second level. He didn't sustain blocks up there. And then I think what you talked about with Isaiah World, the height, right? Like you can't get lower than a 6'1" linebacker. That's just kind of what it is when you're 6'7". Yeah. It's difficult, but I would like to see him latch and get his latch and grip strength. Where I can't remember if it was. I think I was watching the Duke game, and I saw the linebacker just kind of like he made contact, latched his hands, and the linebacker kind of powered through him, to move him off of his body and then separate. I want to see you sustain that block. You got probably, again, you're 330. That dude's probably 240 at the most. You know what I mean? Like. You got nearly 100. You got 90 pounds on him. I want to see you dominate that situation and that rep. And again, the leverage thing is what it is, but I would like to see him be better climbing to the second level. Again, if he's like ceiling, he's fine. It's those forward drive situations where he doesn't bring as much pop or oomph at the point of attack.
Yeah, no, I would say this. The thing I had to think about was the waist bending part, right? And we talked about Joe Alt also being a really tall tackle. Joe Alt found a way for him to still be effective, right? Overall. And I think with Caleb, it's about finding that. And sometimes with those guys that, the movement skills aren't there, you have to be an overwhelmingly strong guy, right? Like the play strength has to be off of the roof. So then that way you can almost kind of win with that upper body regardless, right? Kind of plant your feet, win with your upper body, and be able to manhandle guys. Where do you, I wanted to ask you this, where do you project him? Like looking at him right now, like what tier prospect do you think he is? Day one guy, you think he's more day two-ish, day three? Because it was difficult because there were some things like the stuff you outlined, I agree, but I also thought that there were the peaks and valleys kind of associated with it. So it's like there were things that I really liked, and then there were things where I was like, man, like this could, like there's some development that needs to be placed in this part.
Yeah, I have him kind of in that day two range. I think his tackle class is really talented. Like you got size, you got
I think it has good depth to it.
Yeah, a lot of depth too. So like I think this is our third offensive tackle episode
podcast. Yep.
You know what I mean? So yeah, like this tackle class is good and it's got depth. I think he's going to be on that day two range. I don't know if he could get up to. I don't think he'll be able to get up to that round one consideration. I don't foresee that. I think it would take a lot to get up there, especially with the other tackles in this class. But he's heavier than this guy, but in similar arc. Roger Rosengarten, when he was at Washington, played at right tackle, right opposite of our boy Troy Fautanu, who's with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Roger went second round. Remember, I came in really high on Roger after the senior. I came in high on period, but then he went to the Senior Bowl, and then he played left tackle at the Senior Bowl. Looked good playing left tackle. We knew he was good at right tackle. The difference is Roger was a better athlete, while Caleb has more strength. So like people worry about Roger's power, but he went second round, started I think the entire season of his rookie year, for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens last year. But I think that's the kind of arc where in the Big Ten, and I'm gonna look up, just while we're talking about it, I'm look up Northwestern's schedule to see who he has to face and who he has to deal with, because I mean, Isaiah World's going, not his fault, but he's going to miss some key matchups. Like, Northwestern, their third game of the season is against Oregon. You know what I mean? So like, you're gonna have to deal with Mateo Uiagalelei. Then you got Denai Dennis Sutton with Penn State. You got Nebraska defensive line. You face Michigan. You got Gabe Yakis from Illinois to close out the season. So
they didn't give Northwestern any breaks, DP.
Not really. No, not really. They gave him a nice little gauntlet of a schedule, knowing that this is not one of the best teams in the Big Ten, but they got some NFL players. He's going to be tested, and I think for him is more so. I personally think he probably projects better to right tackle than left, and then having that experience helps that. You know what I mean? It's not a guy that played only left tackle. Like, man, we're gonna flip him to the right, like what the Jets did with Olu. Like you get that. I think they started Olu one preseason game. He was lights out at left tackle. Hey, let's flip you to right, and then it's like, no, I'm struggling over here. I'm not used to this, right? Like Caleb Tiernan knows how to play right tackle and left, so I think that's going to help his floor and his NFL projection a whole lot.
Yep, I agree with DP. That wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Guys, coming up on tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about some corners, man. Going to the SEC a little bit. Georgia, Dalen Everett. Is he a first, second round pick? Where are we going to land with him? And is he the next kind of great corner coming out of Georgia? We'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. So come join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.